this Titanic tourist, they call it submersive. It's a submarine, basically.
Yeah, a submersible.
5 people on board, is a submersible, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 96 hours, actually less than that now, of breathing air left.
We are doing everything that we can do to make sure that we can locate and rescue those on board. It is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area, but we are deploying all available assets to make sure that we can locate the craft and rescue the people on board.
How terrifying.
So this is a tourist thing where you go out and it goes towards the Titanic, but why in the submarine is there only a little amount of air? They don't have enough air in case something did happen.
You're not. I think it's like a 12-hour trip. Like you go down. It's this company that Jared and I were watching something about when we didn't know that these types of things existed because they cost $250,000 a ticket.
Right.
So we're not well versed in that. But it's OceanGate Expeditions, and in the submersible you can have 5 people, and you buy this ticket or this seat, and you get into this tank for the most part that is, by the way, controlled. When we were watching this video today, and I think we posted part of it.
Yeah.
But
there's everything you need to know is on our social media.
This thing is rigged in the craziest of ways. It's being controlled by an old Xbox controller. We actually saw it. Yeah,
we
no
saw
kidding.
Him like, I'm out.
Yeah.
What?
It's controlled by an off-brand Xbox controller, and apparently when you're in this tank, there's no GPS or radio on board.
Why?
Don't know. But they get text messages from above, people who are on they take off from Newfoundland, Canada, and it's basically going down like a boat ramp kind of. And when you're on the ship, and then you go down the boat ramp, and then you get text messages from above of where to go. And they're on expedition to go see the wreckage of the Titanic.
And what happened? They just never came back?
They lost control, or they lost radio signal, or however it was that they were, tech signal, I guess.
Right.
An hour and 45 minutes into the expedition. They've never lost signal before. So this is the first time, and they can't.
But you could lose signal. And what if the motor or engine or whatever it's called goes out? Like, that's a risk if you only had that much air.
For
you're
sure.
Right. When we saw, Kate and I watched the video, I guess 60 Minutes or somebody did at CBS. One of the bigger, it was a national story, like last year or 2 years ago. And the first time they went out, they had to cancel it because of weather.
Right.
I mean, they're in the ocean, like, you got to come up. It's too dangerous. So they have all these safety protocols. But the guy, when he's from CBS News or whatever the news agency was signing the waivers, is saying none of this has been approved by the Navy
The
or
Coast Guard,
Coast Guard,
none of it.
like the actual submarine, so-called.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, and you're signing away like you may die.
Yeah. He read that verbatim.
Is there a captain there driving this thing?
Yeah, there's a guy. Oh, gosh, Jared, what was his name? No.
Yeah, it starts with an S.
Yes.
But there's somebody professional that knows what they're
Yeah, it's
doing.
his company.
Yeah, and he's definitely a part of building this submersible. And I guess so they're trying to go 13,000 feet underwater, which is where the Titanic rests. I mean, there's not much of it left, which is why they're doing it now.
Almost 3 miles under the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, and they left on Sunday, and they lost contact after an hour and 45 minutes.
So can't they send another some kind of submarine down there 13,000 feet to go get them?
Well, you think about how, and gosh, it's terrible to think about. What if somebody drowns or so you lose something in the ocean? It does not just sit there. I mean, it floats and gets carried away. So you can send something down to try to find them, but
with like radar?
Who knows if they're anywhere close?
You would think they would have radar. And so these people now are in their minds, they're thinking, oh gosh, there's a very good chance that I could run out of air and suffocate to death in this thing. So like you're trying to breathe like shallow maybe, I don't know, because there's only so much oxygen in there. That would be a horrible way to die.
100%.
I would be panicking.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing that you just have a few days and you're going to run out of oxygen and die.
Yeah, it's would you almost just want to open the thing up and just die quickly? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, they can't do that.
I don't even think you can open it with the pressure.
And then, the Titanic's on the ocean floor because they've done successful voyages before, and they have really incredible video underwater, and they said eventually the Titanic won't be there because of the conditions of the ocean. And, that eventually it'll just be like a barnacle or whatever. But the guy, when we were watching the video, he was saying, the structure, the main part of it, there's a lot of engineering and everything, of course, that went into it. But he said, he had like lights that were from Camping World. Like, there was
Yes,
just
that's
like
right.
parts-
Camping World.
It's like just stuff from like salvage yards that are on this thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I heard the windows when they go down that deep. The windows have to be like it's like 2 feet thick or something crazy.
Yeah.
Because the glass cannot handle that pressure.
Yeah,
So I wonder if they're like sitting on the ocean floor.
could be.
Maybe they hit something. I mean, there's so many different
There's
things.
so
The thing
many
is
different
very
things.
thick, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
They're-
but
Or they're
if
just
the
lost in the
motor
middle of the
goes
ocean.
out, though, if the
Yeah,
motor
that's-
stops working, then how are you supposed to get back up?
Well, it
Yeah.
said an expert. Again, I didn't know that maybe it's a submarine expert, but it said 4 possible causes for the communication breakdown. Could be loss of power, could be a short circuit that could cause a fire. Any amount
Oh
of
my
flooding
gosh.
would be disastrous, or you could get caught up in the Titanic's debris and then not be able to resurface. They say the best case scenario would be that you're at or near the surface and you just can't ping anybody. They said that's the best case scenario right now, but it's
Oh
not
if
looking
you're,
like
if you're at or
gosh.
near the surface, I wonder if you can get out on the top or something.
Maybe. There are 5 people on board. There's a British billionaire, an explorer. His name is Hamish Harding. There's a former French Navy commander and Titanic expert named Paul Henry. I can't pronounce his last name.
Well, he at least if they don't make it, he's going to go down of what he always wanted to do. But go ahead.
Maybe. They
Yeah, it's
have
kind
a
of
Pakistani businessman along with his 19-year-old son. And then there's also the CEO of OceanGate who built and is in charge of the expeditions. And his name is Stockton Rush.
Stockton Rush.
would-
That's right.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
would be so horrible
Yes.
knowing that you're going to run out of air and probably suffocate to death and die.
Mhm.
No, it's I can't even fathom it.
And
And
then,
then knowing
if
that
you-
you're like lost in
Yeah.
the ocean, you don't even know where you are.
And do they all go? I mean, this is terrible, but do you all go at one time? I mean, do you have to sit? You have to watch your
There's probably people,
people
maybe
die
Oh,
in front of you?
in worse
Probably.
health. than
Yeah,
maybe
I don't
your
know.
own son, your own dad, or does it get to a point where you got to take a few of them out?
No.
Because if you take a few of them out, your ear will last longer.
Yeah.
I could never.
No,
couldn't.
it's just a nightmare scenario. And then, like you said, the Titanic was a travesty, and then they're going to see the Titanic, and is this ironic? I don't know. Is it irony of some sort? I'm not sure.
It's so interesting. I mean, the Titanic is definitely one of those things. We all have our own things. You know, like I was obsessed with King Tut for a while. You know, like I wanted to know all about King Tut.
Right.
And then the Titanic is also one of those
Yes,
things that I think we
fascinating.
become fascinated with and obsessed with. And I get wanting to go and check it out, especially if you have the means and the money to do so.
Yeah.
But this one to me, maybe it's just because it's hindsight and we're seeing what the bad that's happening. But I don't want to be among the first.
Well, even if you
Yeah.
do get out the top, you're still going to have to deal with the sharks and your
That
food
too,
and,
yeah.
and drink and water.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not liking that too much.
The
Yeah, I mean, if
odds
you're
are
on the
not great.
surface, they'd be able to find you. Probably be able to find you a lot easier. But man, in the middle of the ocean or the bottom of the ocean, just randomly 2.5 feet or 2.5 miles
Unless they
down,
have radar that can detect that.
maybe.
Could be. And you imagine how, I mean, one of the times that they had to cancel the trip, it was because there were 6 feet swells, which is like nothing, for out in the deep ocean. But there you are, however many miles down they made it. And you think about, the push and the pull of the
Yeah.
waves. And it's just, oh my God, they could be anywhere.
Well, and then we did learn today because you start looking up stuff about the Titanic. Katie was like, "How much did it cost to go on there?"
Yeah, I was really interested. I didn't know.
And like third rate tickets or third class tickets were what would be like $800 today.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, it's a 5-day, not cruise, well, I guess kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you were on a voyage, yeah.
It started in England,
Then Ireland, then went somewhere else, but then New York, right? Was
Spain, then New York,
yeah.
I think. And so it already made 2 stops, but it was its maiden voyage, and then in the middle of the ocean. I mean,
Mhm.
several hundred miles, I guess, off of Canada. But, and then I think first class tickets were like around $5,000.
Which would be what today? You said
Oh,
100.
no, I'm saying they would. It was like, or the most expensive thing was a suite ticket. It was like $100,000 today.
Whew.
So some rich person had the suite or whatever. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was like $60,000, I think, for first class tickets.
We were talking about, what the questions that come from learning about these sorts of things. We were wondering, how much it costs to be on the ocean liner. And then also, oddly, we wondered, how do sharks breed? Because that was
Katie's
another
like, how
question.
do sharks mate? And I'm like, I don't know.
One of the places that it's called the Titan, where this submersible was going, it was like a shark breeding ground.
Yeah.
And then they were going to another part of the Titanic, and I thought, shark breeding ground? Like, I don't even know what that would look like.
A
I
shark
don't either.
brothel.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no.
How they do that while they're swimming? Caitlin you had some information about this submersible?
Yeah, so you guys were mentioning that, if they could get to the surface, they might be able to get on top. But the really unfortunate thing is that they're actually bolted in from the outside. So even if they do reach the surface, they can't exit.
What do you mean they're bolted in? How are they?
Like it has to be opened by someone from the outside.
Oh,
wow.
It's kind of like when the rocket, remember when the rocket went up and we were watching them come out, somebody else had to open the door.
Yeah,
do you remember
true.
when they were coming down the stairs?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a bad situation. And then I think something just came out. Thank you very much, Caitlin. That they said some Navy experts saying they would not be able to retrieve them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If they're down the bottom of the ocean, there's no way to safely retrieve them.
Yeah, that was the Navy commander is warning. There's no way of rescuing them if they're thousands of feet down.
We'll keep you updated on the story. Hopefully it's some miracle. Maybe they got lost somewhere and then they get power. But it does not look good.